It's Friday, March 9th, and you're riding to work with me on my morning drive, and we're going to talk politics. It's a fired up Friday. I'm fired up because John Boehner and the GOP are doing nothing but distracting the American people from the real issues at hand, which is jobs and the economy. We need to be creating jobs, not arguing over contraception and abortion. This is bullshit. I can't believe these guys. They got elected in 2010 because why? Because for the first year of Obama's presidency, all you heard out of dumbass Boehner's pie holes, where are the jobs? Where are the jobs? Mr. President, where are the jobs? Where are the jobs? Where are the jobs? Where are the jobs? The biggest question here I have to ask is, where are the jobs? That's all we heard from that fucker. And now, they do anything but talk about jobs, except for the Keystone Pipeline, because of course John Boehner will financially benefit from it greatly, as will many other GOP members of Congress, which seems to me to be a conflict of interest. And I didn't think that we were supposed to be allowed to have conflicts of interest. What happened to all these outraged GOP Congress people that were upset about insider trading by congressmen and congresswomen? I guess financial gain from legislation doesn't seem to be as big of a deal to them. Oddly enough, Mr. Boehner is talking about nothing but women's reproductive rights right now. It's Occupy China, and fucking John Boehner is the head guy. What in the hell is going on? Somebody needs to jerk a knot in somebody's friggin' ass and get them back on the task at hand. So what I'm asking you people, if anybody's listening to this, or if you listen to this, you need to be calling John Boehner's office. You need to call every Republican, teabagger, GOP jerk in Congress and tell them that they need to get back to the point at hand, which is jobs and the economy, not women's reproductive rights, which is shit we argued about frickin' for decades now. We've won this fight I don't know how many frickin' times, and they keep wanting to refight the same friggin' battle. I'm fired up on Friday, damn it. And now Sean Hannity's coming out with some bullshit about frickin' Obama shaking hands with Professor Derek Bell back in 1990. It just shows you how friggin' desperate they are. They're yanking video out of their frickin' bunghole from 1990 to try to associate Obama with some radical, which they tried to do in 2008 with Bill Ayers and Jeremiah Wright. They were such radicals. They were radical. They were terrorists. They were domestic terrorists. Obama was palling around with terrorists. And what happened there? Yeah, landslide election. McCain got his shit packed. Sorry about your freaking luck, but you're not going to associate the guy with some radical when you have no proof he's radical, because nobody can do anything on Fox News, on the Hannity show, except say radical, 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 over and over again with no proof of why the fucking guy is radical. Unbelievable. What the hell's going on? How in the hell is the American people sitting there watching Fox News going, yeah, these guys know what the hell they're doing. These guys are on it. Not. If I'm sitting there watching a TV program and somebody says, you know what, the president is shown here shaking hands and hugging Derek Bell, what am I gonna say? Well, okay, who's Derek Bell? And then they come back and say, he's a radical. He's radical. He's just a radical. And they don't ever say why he's fucking radical. Then I'm going to say, well, who are these dipshits for me to take their word for it? I mean, knowing their track record, they're wrong on everything anyway. And then they're going to accuse the guy of being radical and say that Obama hangs out with radicals. But they don't say why he's radical. It's like, good Lord, man. I just don't understand what is going on with the GOP. But, anyways, now I get some dipshit in front of me cutting me off. Jerk off. So anyways, he's a jackass. So anyways, now that I'm through giving a little bit of a rant, which could at any point return, I may resume ranting. Just be aware. Maybe turn your volume down a little bit. President Obama and his campaign have released a 17-minute, or going to be releasing, I believe it's this weekend, a 17-minute campaign video that's going to go back to the beginning of his presidency, give you an inside look at the decision room and some of the hard choices that the president had to make on the economy and on killing bin Laden and Afghanistan and some other things, to show you, like it says in the video, you can either believe today's headlines or you can look at what the country's actually been through. Or in other words, you can watch Fox News and get your head filled full of bullshit, or you can pay attention to real news and facts and actual accomplishments of the president and put things into perspective and say, I don't agree with the guy on most things or on anything or on a lot of things, but the fact of the matter is, this is what he accomplished, and give credit where credit is due. I have no problem if you want to criticize the president or if you don't necessarily agree with the way that he's going about doing things, because there's probably going to be, obviously there's differences between, going all the way back. Even though conservatives used to be reasonable, there was still disagreement on how we got things done. I disagree with conservatives on much of how they think we should run the country. However, that doesn't mean I should say that, like for instance George Bush. I'm sure there are some things that George Bush did that I'd be happy about. Only one I can think of off the top of my head is extending daylight savings time. Other than that, I can't, and maybe a couple of tax cuts, but that really wasn't very beneficial in the long run because it didn't create jobs and all it did was create more of a deficit. But I'm pretty excited about this video coming out. Can't wait to watch it. And unlike Ron Paul, who's talking about bringing home troops, President Obama is actually bringing home troops. He's done it already with Iraq. He's doing it on a smart wind down in Afghanistan, and he is obviously genuinely concerned about our military, because he's always mentioning the great service that our men and women in the military have given, and he's always recognizing them, and he's always going out of his way to do as much as possible for the military and to try to be smart about deploying them to places and not listening to dumbasses like John McCain, who thinks we should go airstrike Syria when there's, absolutely nothing in common between Syria and Libya. This is not the same situation. And Obama is taking a very measured, very methodical, very well thought out approach to Iran, unlike his predecessor, who just decided that he got a wild hair up his ass and one day said, you know what, screw the inspectors, screw diplomacy, let's just go bomb those fuckers. And we see what that got us. 9-year war, over $1 trillion in debt, for no good reason. So, thank you, Republicans. You fuckers. Where were you guys when frickin' George Bush had wars going on off the books, so it didn't even reflect in the deficit and in the national debt? And now that Obama's in there and he's put the wars on the books, which of course is going to reflect on him badly, because it's going to make it look like he's running bigger deficits than what George Bush was, when in actuality he's running the same deficits that George Bush did the last 2 years George Bush was in office, in his first 2 years. And this last year, this current budget's a $901 billion budget deficit. It's actually under $1 trillion. We were at about $1.5 trillion in annual debt. The annual budget deficit was about $1.5 trillion the first 2 years of Obama's presidency. This current budget that he's proposed is $901 billion. That's a pretty substantial. It's over $500 billion in cuts or in savings of some sort. So, for all you jerks that want to freaking rag on Obama and budget deficits and this and that, those are the facts. Go look at them from the CBO, Congressional Budget Office. Why don't you just try paying attention to actual numbers and facts instead of letting some dipshit on Fox News fill your head full of bullshit? As far as these guys wanting to saber rattle about Iran and saying we should, put them on a short leash and we should look at airstrikes and this and that, the way I look at it, and I think the rest of the American public looks at it, nobody's got an appetite for war. Haven't we had enough fucking wars as it is? We need to be getting out of Afghanistan as soon as possible. The only way I want to see us go to war is if we got ships coming on shore invading our freaking country. Other than that, I don't give two shits about what's going on over there. Israel's more than capable of handling some little fucking podunk country like Iran, just like Iraq. We bombed them back to the Stone Age in 1990, and they weren't a threat in 2003. So, fact of the matter is, we don't need to be going to frickin' war again, damn it. And I'm about tired of these fucking warmonger chicken hawks who just assume send our men and women into harm's way without regard for anything except their political careers. Because for all the saber rattling and all the talking and blustering and everything else that these guys do, the fact of the matter is that they're pretty much on the same exact page as Obama when it comes to what to do. They're going to listen to the Joint Chiefs. They're going to listen to the generals on the ground and everything else. So I'm doing a little park job here, so if I pause for a minute, bear with me. Alright, gonna squeeze her on in here. And of course, you know, we have all these rich jerks in the Republican side that want to do nothing but pour tens of millions of dollars into elections instead of taking that money and doing something good with it. Like, you know, Dave and Charles Koch, you know, they want to pour millions into the Scott Walker recall campaign. They've already pledged $60 million to defeating President Obama, but we've got, you know, more people this year sliding into poverty than ever. And all they're doing is trying to defeat President Obama because they want to continue to be able to pollute without government intervention. They don't want to be held accountable for their actions. And they figure that they've got $68 billion in combined net worth, may as well make that work for them. Environment be damned, public safety be damned, everything else be damned. We don't care. We're just going to do what we want to do because we want to do it. Isn't that the American way these days? Isn't that the Ayn Randian society? The me society? The I'm going to do whatever I want to do and fuck everybody else, and if it doesn't affect me, tough shit. That's the society that these guys want to go to. And that's the society that Republicans subscribe to. However, I find it funny because if anybody knows anything about Ayn Rand, you would know that she was anti-religious. She couldn't stand religion, first of all. Secondly, she abhorred entitlements. You know, it's this me, everybody's on their own, no government this. You know, government should be almost non-existent, just bare minimum, whatever. And the odd thing about it is she was a very, very wealthy lawyer, and then she was diagnosed with lung cancer. And what do you think she did when she got diagnosed with lung cancer? I guess she didn't feel like she wanted to squander or go through her personal wealth. So she got in on the old entitlement action, and she took Medicare and Social Security, which makes her a queen hypocrite of the century. Which is fitting because, I mean, all these Republicans and teabaggers, excuse me, they're all the biggest hypocrites on the planet. I mean, this is the grand old hypocrisy party. Or the grand hypocrisy party, so it should be the GHP. So, you know, I mean, these guys are a joke. It's hard to take them seriously because they're so hypocritical. It's just like the Ron Paul supporters. You know, where Ron Paul wants to inject his religious views into women's reproductive health when it comes to contraception and abortion, but everything else it's okay to leave alone, except that. And then it's okay to be big government when it comes to that. And then the people that are big Ron Paul fanatics also, oh no, the states will handle that because it's not in the Constitution, but it's covered under the 10th Amendment. It's like, that's the biggest crock of horse shit. The federal government shouldn't be involved in that whatsoever. That should just be, if the states want to do that, that's fine. If the states want to do anything, that's fine. I mean, but if you're going to subscribe to that theory, why not let the states do everything and just allow the federal government to provide bare bones services like military and basic entitlements? That's it. You know, basic, like, scale down Social Security, no Medicare, increase the income level, the income cap for Medicaid, so anybody that's on the very bottom or even on the lower middle class, whatever, can get Medicaid if they absolutely need it, and then everybody else is left to fend for themselves unless in case, except in the event of a natural disaster or a man-made disaster or a you know, threat of war, something that requires military. But no, You know, it's okay on everything else to stick their nose in. It's just they're just all over the frickin' place. And the thing that's especially disturbing about it is that the religion thing has to creep into it. You know what? If you're gonna subscribe to the Constitution and you're gonna talk about, everybody should be left alone by the government and able to make all their own decisions and this and that, then you know what? Don't say, oh, abortion is murder and this and that. That's your belief because of your religion. That's not necessarily proven fact. So, having said that, you shouldn't care if somebody wants to go have an abortion. If they want to go have an abortion, then that's their prerogative, and they're going to get judged by their maker in the afterlife. I mean, that's the way I see it. That should be how it really is. Isn't that more of a libertarian view than, saying everything but abortion and contraception? I mean, there shouldn't be any exceptions. If Ron Paul's going to live up to the word that he used to describe himself in his campaign, which is consistent, then he should be consistent. And consistent would be live and let live. If a woman wants to have an abortion, that's her deal. And if she is going to be judged by her creator in the afterlife for having done it, then that's her deal. That's not your deal. Isn't that bearing false witness when you act as the judge? When you're judging your fellow man as God would? Isn't that called bearing false witness? I'm not an expert on the Bible or religion, even though I was raised Catholic, but then outgrew that because I realized how asinine organized religion is. Although I do believe in some sort of a higher power, and I mean, I know a lot of people use spirit. I am spiritual, but I am spiritual. I just don't subscribe to an organized religion. The Church of Unity is a good one. It's non-denominational. The people there are always very pleasant. They're not trying to force their ideology down your throat or trying to tell you how you must conduct yourself. When it comes to the Lord or God or the Creator or whoever it is you subscribe to. I mean, that's how I feel about it. I'm not religious. I don't go to church. I don't believe that you need to go to church in order to worship God or Christ or anything. But I do absolutely think that Jesus Christ is a wonderful example to follow. And by all means, if a person of faith does great things through their faith, then I have no problem with them whatsoever. More power to them. But if you're going to try to tell other people how to live their lives and you're going to force them to do things your way to the point of legislating it, that's where I have a serious problem, because that is going into territory that I think we used to see in jolly old England, which is what the Pilgrims were running away from, which was religious oppression. They didn't want a theocracy. That's why we have a secular government, not a theocracy. If we wanted a theocracy, then we would be like one of those stupid countries in the Middle East that the people are being slaughtered because of religious reasons. I mean, isn't anybody paying attention? I mean, religion is part of the problem. It's not the solution, unless you want to use it for good, not for evil. That's my take on it. And as for my problem that I have with the Obama administration today, I really can't think of one off the top of my head, to be honest. But maybe I could come up with something if I really thought hard enough. What could I come up with? I got it. Gas prices. No, I'm not saying this is President Obama's fault, and I don't even know if he necessarily can do anything to help gas prices. However, I think he should do something, and I think there is something that can be done, and I think that something is jerking a knot in somebody's ass at the CFTC and getting them to do their damn job. They should be limiting speculation. Speculation is adding, according to studies, approximately 50 to 60 cents per gallon of gas. I mean, come on, Obama. Get somebody to do something about the fucking speculation. Get the CFTC to do their damn job. And if there's not people on the CFTC that'll do it, then they freaking remove them and appoint somebody to the CFTC that will. Because I know that the head of the CFTC you're allowed to appoint. That's one thing. I'd open up the strategic oil reserves it may not help a lot, it may not help at all, but at least it sends a message that you're trying. And you could just open it up a little bit. You don't have to release a year's worth of petroleum. Just release enough to, to help somewhat and send a message. I mean, you've been on camera now twice saying that my administration's going to turn over every rock and do everything possible to lower gas prices or to help in this crisis of high gas. But what have you done so far? I mean, and I'm not saying that you haven't done anything because you don't want to, but I think that there's some things that you can do that you're just not doing, and I wish you would do them. I mean, I don't know why those things aren't very difficult. So that's the problem I have for today. But on the flip side, we know the president can't control gas prices, and you definitely shouldn't be not voting for Obama because of gas. I mean, that's stupid. Because as we all know, gas was sky high back in '08 when the election season was going on. And I don't really believe that George Bush hurt John McCain because of high gas prices. I think there could have been some people that were hung up on that. But I think most importantly, it was the economy and the way that the Republican policies, the ones that they're trying to push now on steroids, are what destroyed our economy almost to the point of a Great Depression. And Obama's managed to get things back again. Today the jobs report comes out. It's estimated to be over 200,000 jobs created, which is going to put us on a 2 years straight of private sector job growth every month for the last 2 years. They've created about 3.8 million jobs. Unemployment's at 8.3%, which is still high, but it's come down quite a bit. We're going in the right direction. The Dow Jones, the stock market's over 13K. Unemployment's coming down steadily. We're creating jobs every month, at least 200,000. Any positive number is wonderful news, because when Obama took office, we were losing 750,000 jobs a month. Can you think back to that? 750,000 jobs a month, people. The stock market was down in the 6,000. It was freaking crazy. Our economy was nuts. There was no private capital to be had. The auto industry was getting ready to belly flop. I mean, come on. Go watch the 17-minute video when it's released this weekend. I'm going to have it on my website, shreddedtruth.com. I'm going to have it on the front page. And everybody that comes on my page, you're going to see that video. And you need to see that video. You need to be reminded of what this president has done. Yeah, he's not perfect. Yeah, every single day I've done this broadcast so far, which is what now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days now I've been doing this. And every single day I've had an issue I can fault the Obama administration on. However, for the list of cons associated with Obama, there is a much longer list of pros. And for all the negatives, there's a much longer list of accomplishments. So, you could go to whattheheckisobama.com. That's a site that tells you all of his accomplishments. You can get on my website. I track his accomplishments, shreddedtruth.com. And I'd like to hear from you. Shoot me an email, mymorningdrive@shreddedtruth.com. Send me your emails, your suggestions, your comments. Am I doing something wrong? Do you not like my style? What do you suggest I do? I'd like suggestions. I'd like constructive criticism. I'd like you to email me topics that you'd like to discuss. I'd like you to email me links on stories that maybe I haven't talked about or that aren't on my website that you find compelling or interesting. Or if you'd like to be a featured blogger, feel free to send me your work. Send me articles. I'll feature them on my website. I'm always looking for good writers, so it's obviously on a volunteer basis, but at least for the time being. So give me a shout. I look forward to hearing from you. TGIF, thank God it's Friday, and it's been great talking to you guys and girls out there. Women unite. Make sure you vote. Work for the Obama campaign. Run for office. Work for the Democrats that are running for office, because they're the ones that are looking out for your best interests. It's been wonderful talking to you. It's been great talking to you this morning on a fired up Friday. And I look forward to talking to you again next week on Monday. Peace out and have a great weekend.